You are listening to the 5 a.m. podcast, and today is your day. Welcome to the 5 a.m. podcast, where we bring you insightful conversations with thought leaders and influencers who are making headway and indeed some waves in their callings. Today, we are diving into the world of digital marketing with someone who's mastered the art of helping brands grow without breaking the bank on ad spend. Nikita Vakhrushev has spent the last 7 years in the trenches of e-commerce and digital marketing, evolving from founding his own brand to becoming a specialist in what many consider the most undervalued asset in marketing today: email and SMS strategies. After working directly with over 100 direct-to-consumer brands, Nikita has developed a remarkable ability to add, would you believe, $200,000 to $400,000 in annual revenue simply through strategic email marketing alone. He's the founder of Aspect Agencies, and he's on a mission to help brands create sustainable growth through owned marketing channels rather than being at the mercy of rising ad costs and platform algorithms. Now, a warm welcome to you as you listen, wherever that might be. Please consider sharing this with 3 of your friends. I know many are going to enjoy this conversation. Of course, a big thanks to our friends at myinstantgold.com, where you can buy gold for as little as $10 at a time. And of course, thank you to those that have ventured over to buymeacoffee.com/5am podcast and bought us a few of those delicious virtual cups of coffee this week and last. We certainly do appreciate all your support. Nikita, welcome to the show.
Appreciate it, Michael. Excited to be on and talking about strategies and all things email.
Absolutely. I'm excited to unpack your insights on building revenue through channels that brands actually own. So let's dive right into that. Can you explain why your strategy is actually preferable short-term and long-term?
Yeah, it's honestly comes down to 2 main points. Like the first one being social media is amazing. It can get you so much reach that you may have never thought of before,
Right.
wasn't even possible 5, 10 years ago. The thing is, it's rented land. You don't
Yeah.
own the people that are following you. So, no matter what you do, whether it's good or bad, right now it could be good, but in 5 years it could be
hmm
bad. You could
hmm
be kicked off that platform and you lose your following. So that's one of the main reasons why I've stuck to email, because it's one of those things where once you have someone's email address and they've subscribed to your newsletter or subscribed to your like lead magnet or whatever it is, you have
Right.
that data and you can constantly reach out to them at a very low cost.
Right. Yeah, it's really smart. And actually, a fellow that I was recording an interview with earlier this morning, George Cisneros, he was telling me that in the beginning of 24, he had 0 on his email list. He grew it to 800 in 12 months. But now in the first 5 months of 25, he's actually gone to 2,500 on his list. Can you talk a little bit about that opportunity to develop those numbers and that critical mass that sometimes happens?
Yeah, the first thing, like if we're starting off with just like 0, the best thing you can do off the bat is go through like your Google Calendar or your Gmail and look at all the contacts that you've been in contact with for the last year, 2 years, 3 years,
Right.
and so on. Because those are the people that know you the most. And, for them, they'd be interested in keeping up with you and what you've been
Right.
up to. So that's a really good foundation. And from there, I would build it off into something that you can drive value with. So
Right.
whatever your specialty is, whether like for us, it's e-commerce and that's what we specialize in. But if you're like running lead gen or if you're doing local business, whatever that might be, you have value to bring to the table, and that value that customers see, they would subscribe to your newsletter, whether it
Right.
be like a checklist or a blog or maybe even ebook or even
Right.
a discount. Like those things people value, give up their email, and they would continually keep up with everything that you're doing.
Right. Yeah, I certainly know like some home residential building contractors, their email lists, they're constantly looking for ways to bring value to their former clients who are on their email list. And business, of course, there's so many people that are entrepreneurs who watch 5am podcast, and our main demographic is males between 24 to 44. So we've got a lot of people right in that sweet spot who are building, and they need
Yeah.
maybe a little extra boost for their launch. I wanted to ask about your starting career, and you
Yeah.
started with your own e-commerce brand before pivoting to agency work. What key lessons from running your own brand actually shaped how you approach your client strategies today?
I would say the biggest takeaway was understanding what it takes to run an actual brand, even
Mm,
if it was at a smaller scale. Like, I think we only were able to grow it to around 10K per month with like my t-shirt business,
okay.
but it's still a lot of work to keep up a 10K per month business, whether it's running ads, putting out product launches, new product
Right,
development, sourcing product, that sort of thing, and then also doing the marketing side and the customer support side. It's just so much work, so it helps me understand exactly how we fit into the schedule of a CEO, a
Hmm.
CMO, an operator, so
right,
that way we simplify our, like, communication as much as possible because I know how much they have on their plate, and that's
Yeah.
kind of, like, one of our core values here is, like, just to keep things as simple as possible and easy for the customer and the client to understand.
right. So after working with over 100, we could say DTC brands, direct
Yeah.
to consumer, what patterns have you noticed that separate those more successful e-commerce businesses from those that are struggling?
I would say organization has been like it has nothing to do with marketing, but being able to keep up with the vendors that you're working with or being able to keep your word on a specific calendar.
Mm-hmm.
Like for example, like, hey, we're doing a photo shoot next week. Like you're actually doing that thing. Or hey, we're gonna be launching this new product next week, like and actually following through. I think that has been by far the biggest differentiator between like clients that I love working and clients
Mm-hmm.
that we may need to either work on that relationship or we may have to fire at a certain point because
Right.
my team has a specific cadence that we're working with, and we try to
Yeah.
align our cadence to all of the clients that we have, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not easy. But having a client that isn't on top of the schedule that they create or that they're leading, it just
Yeah.
makes it significantly worse and a lot more of a
Yes.
headache.
Right. And so there's that book, E-Myth Revisited. I don't know if you've ever read it, but it's a phenomenal book about realizing that you're starting a business and you cannot be chief cook and bottle washer all at the same time. And so, and one of the things that we talk about here is being able to decentralize that power and control structure in our businesses where we're at. So I want to ask you specifically about email marketing.
Hmm.
Many brands treat an email maybe as an afterthought, and yet you're consistently adding, let's say, $250,000 or more in revenue through this channel. That might sound unbelievable to some, but what are most brands getting wrong when it comes to email marketing?
I think it mainly comes down to intentionality and
Mm.
cadence. So everybody can always go to like ChatGPT and say, like, hey, make me a campaign for Mother's Day or make me a campaign for 4th of July. Like
Yeah.
that's easy, but there's really no intentionality behind it.
Mm-hmm.
You're thinking on the surface level, you're not going two, three, four orders of consequences deep of
Yeah.
like what does the customer actually want from like a 4th of July email.
Right.
So I'd say that intentionality coupled with cadence, meaning actually being consistent with sending emails out and consistently improving the emails that you send out. So
Yeah.
obviously we already have our internal processes set up on like what we think is going to perform best, our
Mm-hmm.
experience, the data points that we have on all the accounts that we manage, etc. So we have all this data and all this knowledge that comes with it. But if it's something that you're running on your own, it's important to have like, hey, like every week I will be sending out an email on Friday or on Wednesday or whenever
Right.
you're going to be doing it and actually sticking with that consistently.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the times, like when we bring on board on brands and they're like, yeah, we haven't sent an email out in like 3 weeks. And then
Mm.
the first email we sent out, it's like immediate money. And it's like, wow, I wish I'd done that earlier.
Families need a timeless solution that stands the test of time. Introducing MindsToGold.com, the revolutionary sound money wallet that makes gold ownership accessible to everyone. It's fascinating. And you've mentioned the word cadence, which is a great word. I mean, who doesn't love a good drum line? And that marching band, it made me think of Dennis Henson, who's been a guest on the show. And we have a July series coming up with him. And the reason that I talk about Dennis is he's one of these people who's very intentional in his work. And so striking while the iron is hot. And you bring up a great example of people saying, we were kind of neglecting this because we didn't see the value in it. And you kind of pushed us and prodded us in that way. Could you maybe give an example? And maybe there's another example of how easy it actually is to actually take that step to actually send out that call to action in that email?
It could be as simple as just like we've seen brands that have been running their entire email system through Canva. Like
Okay.
Canva is very easily accessible. You can have either a free account or pay like $10 a month
Okay.
for a pro account. I don't know how much it is, but
Yeah.
it's not as expensive as you would think. You can have those email graphics be completely set up, maybe watch a 5, 10, 20-minute YouTube video on how to create a good design. I'm not saying
Yeah.
there's someone that knows how to do
Right.
that,
Yeah.
but create that design, upload your product images, slice that design, upload it. I think all in it would take about maybe your first one would take 2 hours, like if you're like step by
Okay.
step following every
Yeah.
tutorial.
Yeah.
But after you get into a good rhythm, it'll probably take you no more than an hour, if 30 minutes, to create an email design.
Right. So then for these emails, do people need a company like Constant Contact or MailChimp, or is that something that Aspect does?
Yeah, so we strictly handle the management of the email platform. Like you
Hmm.
mentioned, Constant
Yeah.
Contact and MailChimp. So we manage that for our clients.
Oh, gotcha.
I would definitely recommend signing up for one of those if you're in the e-commerce space.
Okay.
Klaviyo and OmniSend are really good for that.
Good to
If you're
know.
just looking to start for like the lowest cost
Hmm.
possible, like MailChimp is pretty good. Although I would recommend graduating from that as soon as you can, if you can afford it. Uh,
Right.
Anything B2B related, ActiveCampaign is really good. HubSpot is okay, but it's very expensive once you get into the
Mm.
pricing tiers.
Gotcha.
And Constant Contact is also a good one as well.
Oh, that's great. It's good to know those things. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is my call to action to you to put something in the comments for the two of us. I know Nikita's got a wealth of information, and maybe you're a realtor that's starting out. Maybe you've got a auto body shop and you've got a good book of business. Speaking of books of business, we know our insurance agent friends always have a big book of business. They talk about it often. So, ladies and gentlemen, obviously there's something for everyone in this conversation. Let us know in the comments how you think that this could help you. Nikita, I wanted to ask, what's your framework then for determining if a brand's email strategy needs a complete overhaul versus just some targeted improvements?
Yeah, fantastic question. It's funny you mentioned that because like 10 minutes before the podcast, I just finished recording like an audit that I did for a
Okay.
business. Sometimes, like if there is something that I see within, like I look at three things. Number one, I look at how many people they're getting subscribed on the list at what rate,
Okay.
their campaigns, and then their automations. So those three things help me determine like what needs to be done within the account.
Okay.
When I was auditing this account fresh in my head, their sign up rate was at 3%. So, meaning out of 100 people that visit their website, only three would sign up for their email newsletter. We would want to get that up to 6 to 10%.
Okay. Yeah, right.
But where it comes down to is like the sections of those emails. So, like,
Uh-huh.
what's the first thing that a person sees once they open it? Then, what's the second thing? Then, the third thing? Then, the copy. Going a little bit deeper on the campaigns, I want to also see the deliverability of those campaigns. So, seeing what the open rates are, not only just overall, but then open rates by the email service providers like Gmail, Yahoo, Apple, Outlook, Hotmail,
Oh, interesting.
etc. Yep. So like in
Wow.
the account that I just audited, it was like, yeah, they have 35% open rates, and like on paper, like, yeah, that's pretty good. But then when you look deeper, you can see like their Hotmail and Outlook inboxes have like a 5% open rate compared to
Oh,
Gmail
interesting.
at like 40.
Wow.
So then it's like a deliverability issue. Then it's like, okay, we need to work on deliverability.
Yeah.
Then after the campaigns, we go on to automations, and then I see the structure that they have set up. If they only have one email being sent out per
Hmm.
automation, like a welcome, an abandoned checkout, post purchase, etc., we
Right.
would probably want to build out a few more for nurture and education.
Yes.
And then it also comes down to the actual individual emails and how they're designed to see if
Right.
they're actually leading towards a conversion or if they're just, just being sent out without any intention.
Gold prices have historically risen during economic uncertainty. The time is now. Visit mindstandgold.com. That intentionality is so key. You mentioned the nurture, and there's the nudge. There's these words, these tools really, or words for tools that have come out. Can you talk a little bit about maybe that hierarchy of these tools?
Can you clarify a
Yeah.
little bit?
Oh, sure. Like the a nudge email or a nurture email or like you said, the abandoned cart. Hey friend,
Right.
we're still here. That kind of thing.
Yeah, of course. So some of the automation strategies that we have, we want to first follow, we want to educate the consumer about what product that our brand
Uh-huh.
is selling, as well as nudge them up to purchase. So it all breaks down into each automation, and each automation has its own function. So like the welcome is mainly there for if you see a pop-up on a website saying like, hey, get
Uh-huh.
10% off if you give us your email. So that welcome automation is there to educate the customer not only on what you're selling, your core values, who the founder is, what makes you different, and then
Uh-huh.
any testimony or reviews to back up your claims, meaning like, hey, people are enjoying this product. This is a good product. You should buy this product. Then we go into abandonment flows. So you have every step that a person takes throughout your website, we have follow-up set up for that. So I'm not going to get too
No,
complicated, but
that's
there's
okay.
four.
Yeah.
There's abandoned site, browse, cart, checkout. So people that have just visited the website and are looking around, maybe they looked at their blog,
Uh-huh.
but we still have their email. We'll check them on the abandoned site and send out a, hey, we noticed you're looking around. Do you need any
Smart.
help? Very general messaging.
Yeah.
Then on the abandoned browse, that means they were browsing through our products. So they may have looked at a product page, a collections page.
Huh.
There was buyer intent in that. And
Yeah.
that one is a little bit more specified as like, was there a product that stood out to you? Or is there anything you want to keep browsing? So it's still
Right.
a nudge without seeming like a, hey, we're stalking you.
Yeah,
Can you
right.
please buy?
Yeah, totally.
Then we have cart. So if they added something to cart but didn't continue to checkout, there's definitely way more intentionality there. So it's like,
Uh-huh.
hey, we noticed you left something in your cart, something along those lines. And then with checkout, that means they're ready to buy. They were about to
Yeah.
put their credit card in and
Yes.
something stopped them. So it's like, hey, how can we help you make a better purchase? Or what information do you
Right.
need to make this purchase? So that's how we separate the messaging out between the automations and I guess the messaging that we send
Right.
out.
Yeah, and this is really accessible to everyone that has an online platform. One of the things that we talk about in our house is analytics. We like the
Yep.
numbers and the metrics. And what metrics do you believe are most meaningful when measuring that email marketing success?
Yeah. So there's a few pre-revenue metrics, and then there's
Okay.
a few revenue metrics that we look at.
Interesting.
So number one is obviously open rate, because like if no one's opening up your
Uh-huh.
emails, no one's going to be buying from your emails. So
Yeah.
we want to look at anywhere between 45 to 70% open rates on average.
Wow. Okay.
Click-through rates anywhere between 1 to 2%. And then we also have our revenue rates. So we want to have a placed order rate of anywhere between half to 1%.
Hmm.
And it also sways depending on the industry. So
Right.
if you have $1,000 product, it'll probably convert at a lower clip than a
Uh,
$30 product.
Gotcha.
So those are some metrics that we look at. And then we also want to make sure that the overall revenue coming in from email marketing compared to the business is anywhere between 20 to 30%.
huh.
So if your brand is doing anywhere between $100,000 to $200,000, then you'd want to see that email revenue being about anywhere between 20 to 40,000 or 30 to $60,000.
Wow.
Really
Yeah.
interesting. And what I'm getting from what you're saying here in this conversation is that this is actually actionable
Yeah.
and it actually leads to success. So tell us, how can our people, our listeners and our viewers get in touch with you?
Yeah, the first thing is just getting an audit done. That
Huh.
makes me understand the business a lot better. Like I can see
Right.
a lot more about the business through the numbers. So if you go to our website, aspectagency.com, aspect with a K, you can go to free audit and just put in 5 a.m. podcast and we'll
Yeah.
get you a free audit done for you. And that's the best place to start.
Oh, that's good. That's good. So I wanted to ask you about the SMS marketing. It seems to be growing rapidly. How should brands think about the relationship between email and SMS strategies? Should they be treated as separate channels or are they integrated as part of one strategy?
The best way I can put SMS is like that meme from it's like James Franco doing same but
Oh, yeah.
different but still same.
Yeah, right.
So it's like that's how I would describe SMS. Like it's its own channel and it should be the language that you're using on that should be a bit different than email. The
Oh,
main
gotcha.
misconception about SMS is, oh, it's just email but shorter.
Right.
Yes, but no. You have to be very careful about the words that you use, not only in the actual words, but also the word count because it costs you more money to send
Oh,
out SMS messages than email. Email, you can send out 100,000 emails for $500, whereas
wow.
with SMS, it's a penny per message per recipient.
Wow.
So it gets really high the bigger your SMS list goes. So you
Right.
have to be very careful. And if you use a lot of characters, you're going to be spending 2 pennies per
Right.
customer per send. And
Wow.
if you add an image, that's an extra 3 cents per
Wow.
customer per send. So you have to be very concise in your messaging and very, how would I say, like very there's a lot of brevity that goes into the
Okay.
actual SMS side. So
Yeah.
you have to like be personalized. So have their first name, call out the main thing. It's like, is it a sale? Is it information? Is it a personal reach out? Whatever that is.
Mm-hmm.
And then have the link and like the actual details about the call,
Right.
like the offer right below, then the link, and then that's it. So it should be very simple, short, but very easy to understand.
Right.
And it's also very important to not overdo the SMS side because it's a very personal channel. It's tied to our phones. Our
Right.
phones are a very personal item of ours.
Yes.
So if you overdo it, just like an overbearing ex-girlfriend, you
Right.
will get blocked, So
Yes.
it's important to just maybe once a week, twice a week at most to be sending out SMS
Yeah,
messages.
that frequency sounds like it's really important to stay in the good graces of your clientele. I wanted to ask you what makes for, and maybe that's part of it, making for an effective SMS campaign that doesn't feel intrusive to your clientele base.
I would say the best way to get your foot off right with SMS would be through just implementing them into your automations first. So they've been a great follow-up tool for our clients when we send out an abandoned cart message of like, hey, you left something in your cart. We then will follow up with a text message. Because if they didn't
Yeah.
see the email, they're definitely going to see the text because texts have
Gotcha.
about a 90% open rate.
Oh,
And that'll
interesting.
bump it up to like, okay, I do actually have to purchase this, or like, maybe I
Wow.
don't. So that's the best way to start off with because then number one, like you already have that text chain created and it's not a
Mm-hmm.
random number hitting you up a month later of like, hey, we have a
Yeah.
sale.
Yeah.
So you start off with that, and then you would want to send out anywhere between, like I said, one a week, maybe two a week during sales periods, and keep it light. Just keep it informative, and
Right.
you can also segment your list. So if someone says like, "Oh, I just want to know about the sales," then you can
Mm-hmm.
only send out those messages during sales periods. Or like, "Hey, I want to know about new product launches."
Yeah.
Then they would get those. I
Right.
would say like segmenting as well as making sure you just have it implemented would be the best thing you could do
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah. That sounds like you kind of just walked us through that ultimate product launch. But if somebody is doing a new product launch using email and SMS, what happens in those weeks before, during, and after their product launch?
Yeah, so we try to have a lot of hype built up before the
Okay.
launch. That's like the best thing. So like number one, like letting people know that something is on the way. That, excuse me. If no one knows that something is coming and then you're like,
Mm.
we have this new product. Like
Surprise.
exactly. It's like,
Yeah.
I didn't really know this was gonna happen. I was kind of saving my paycheck for something else,
Right.
And so having that hype up built really helps with people not
Uh-huh.
only budgeting
Yeah.
for the thing that you're about to launch, but at the same time, it's
Right.
keeping top of mind. So you're always thinking about it. Like
Yeah.
I'm a big car guy, and like whenever Porsche releases a new car, it's like, ooh, I'm waiting, I'm waiting, I'm waiting.
Uh-huh.
I'm not gonna buy it, but I'm still interested on the
Totally.
story behind it. And it's the
Yes.
same thing with your customers. Like if you're building up that hype
Mm-hmm.
beforehand, it's gonna lead to more sales.
Yeah.
And then when it's sales time, we have a VIP list, meaning like people that have bought before, they have first come, first serve. And then it releases to the general
Mm-hmm.
audience of like our email list.
Yeah.
And then depending on how well that launch does, if it's doing
Mhm.
really well, then we'll start to send out like, hey, we're running low on stock. You better buy this. So a little bit of FOMO being
Yes.
created. And then we would close it down of like, hey, we're all sold out. If we do sell out, we'll tell them we're sold out, but it's not over yet. Like, here's an extra 10% off, or here's
Right.
15% off of
Yeah.
anything else in our store since you're already here.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I know as we're working on putting this is just the rough draft of our SMART goal discovery journal. It's that same kind of thing of remembering those steps of getting something to market. Like there's a lot of those best practices that maybe DIYers don't do for their marketing campaign. So if there is someone listening, they think they're too small. And so they think they have to DIY everything, including their email marketing. What are some of those maybe low-hanging fruit that they could implement even this week?
I would say if you just need to get an email out, it doesn't have to look pretty. It could literally be a plain text email,
Mm.
and it could be just a note from the founder talking about something that's going on in the business. Like you see all these fancy emails coming in from like very high budget direct to consumer
Right.
brands. It
Yeah.
doesn't always have to be like that. We've also noticed that ugly emails, like text
Okay.
only emails, still perform very well, and sometimes are even better
Interesting.
performers than image
Wow.
only. It comes down to deliverability as well as the personalization of it, and just the fact that it doesn't have a lot of images attached to it, so it
Yeah.
doesn't look like spam, or it may not be spam.
Right.
So it could just be something plain text. It could be something as simple as like, "Hey, we've overstocked our shelves this week. Here, get 10% off
Yeah.
of our thing to help clear up our warehouse." It could be something as
Mm-hmm.
simple as that. And if you send that out and you get $0, contact me. I'll help you send it out
Good.
properly. But it
That's
should make you
it.
money. Yeah.
If there's one thing I've learned in all of these years, I'm really good at maybe X, Y, but not Z. And I got to find the guy who's good at all the other alphabet letters. So, what's your best advice as we wrap up here for a brand that maybe they feel stuck on the paid media treadmill
Mm.
and they actually want to build some more sustainable marketing channels? And before you answer that, I got to say, I love that you point out the difference between owning the property and renting the property.
I would say the best thing you could do is just start building up that list, whether it's a personal brand, an influencer
Uh-huh.
brand, or just your own business as a whole. Like, have anything that you like. Everybody has like dreams and aspirations for their
Uh-huh.
business. Like, I want to launch this thing in two
Yeah.
years. I want to launch this thing next quarter, that sort of thing. Whatever those launches are, I wouldn't say like gatekeeping. Like, gatekeeping may be a negative connotative word, but in the same
Uh-huh.
way of like maybe having. Okay, I'm gonna stick with gatekeeping.
Yeah, sure.
Gatekeep those releases behind like the email quote unquote paywall
Uh-huh.
and have everyone go through the email side of things, because then it will be a lot easier to build that email list.
Yeah.
And then when you do launch that thing, you already have a pretty big size audience to go towards
Uh-huh.
that launch. And that is the best way I've seen people get off of like the paid media side. Like,
Yeah.
I've helped out a coach last year, or actually this was 2 years ago. She's like a female fitness coach, and she runs boot camps about
Mm.
4 or 5 times a year.
Okay.
And 90% of her sales come from the email launches.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah, and she only puts down maybe like 2 or 3 grand in paid media for every launch,
Really?
whereas most of it just comes in from email. Yeah.
Wow. That's
So
brilliant. Brilliant. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Honestly, what a conversation. I loved it. And I get to do like, record a bunch of these every day, but this was a great conversation. Make sure you share this with your friends. But I got to remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that Nikita has generously offered that audit, and head over to his website. It is, I think it's about a $400 value, if I'm not mistaken.
yep.
And so if you're looking to uncover some hidden revenue in your marketing strategy, hey, I'm sure it's there. Visit Aspect Agency's website or connect with Nikita on Instagram. We'll put that up on the screen for you as well. And at least, if nothing else, chat with the fellow and claim that exclusive offer. This is not a sales pitch, but ladies and gentlemen, we all know that owning the house you live in is a lot better than renting the house you live in. So, Nikita, thank you so much for being here with us today and sharing your insights.
Yeah, it was a pleasure coming on, and yeah, more than happy to do those audits. And
Mm-hmm.
if you are still in like that DIY stage, I do make
Yeah.
videos every week that cover strategies. And if you want to see that, it's on my YouTube.
Oh, great. Good. And we'll put that in there too, but just shout out your YouTube handle.
It's just my name, Nikita Vakhrushev.
Good. We'll tag you in the description for this as well. So thank you, Nikita, and thank you to our viewers. We appreciate you being here and joining in on this conversation. If you haven't already, help us grow this channel with a like and a subscribe and a share with a friend or three. And who knows, maybe someone is like, they're going to get this from you, and it's going to be like, yeah, this is what I was missing. And then you're going to get a nice Christmas card or something. Yes. So one more thing, give us a 5-star review if you don't mind on your favorite podcast player. And of course, thanks to those that have ventured over to buymeacoffee.com/5am podcast. We do appreciate your support. So until next time, make sure to seize your day and enjoy those sunrises and sunsets and all the adventures in between. I'm Michael Klassen. Families need a timeless solution that stands the test of time. Introducing mindstantgold.com, the revolutionary sound money wallet that makes gold ownership accessible to everyone. For as little as $1, you and your children can start building a portfolio of real physical gold. Don't just tell your children about financial responsibility, show them with mindstantgold.com.